public viewing or public access, we do have Facebook Live and also channel 23 on your local cable TV. Um, so with that, I would like to call this special or session, third special session to order. Today is first day, third special session. Today is Wednesday, May 18, 2022, at approximately 2:04 p.m. here in the Senate chamber in Capitol Hill, Saipan. And at this time, the chair wish to ask everyone to please stand for a moment of silence. The chair recognizes the clerk to please call the roll.
Senator Cruz,
Here.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Here.
Senator Hoku, Mr. President,
Yegi.
Senator King Neighbors,
Present.
Senator Manglonia, Senator Kirua, Senator Sablan, Senator Santos. Mr. President,
Yay.
7 members are present, 2 are absent.
With 7 members present, 2 are absent, we have the necessary quorum to conduct this session. Let the record reflect the senators Justo Kitugua and Bini S. Blondes hereby excused from this session. And before I entertain the item public comment, I would like to go on record to say that we rise back into our responsibility as a Senate tribunal, as the order of business, specifically item J, is up for consideration before us. So with that, on item B, the public comment portion of the session is hereby in order. And please state your name for the record. And the order is that you comment on any of the items on the order of business. Thank you.
Okay, my comment is pertaining toward the impeachment trial. Is that going on? Before I move on, Honorable President Rudolph Snyder. Yes?
You're in order.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Fabian Muña Indalecio, Chamorro and Carolinian descendant, a citizen, a registered voter, a taxpayer. Again, good afternoon to you, Honorable President of the Senate, Sir Jude Antolanov Snyder, the rest of these honorable Senate members, and everyone in here present and the viewers. Thank you for this opportunity to express more of my sentiment with many others in our community who shared to me with similar concern pertaining to this impeachment trial of our Governor Rob De Leon Guerrero Torres, who was impeached in the lower house of representatives by a majority of the members of 15 yes, 4 noes, and 1 abstention for committing felonies, corruption, and neglect of duties against the people of the Sinimay. Note, in contrary to this group, the House of Representatives impeached the governor, not just the Democrat, but mixed with Republican and independent that fairly represent the people of this Commonwealth, in my opinion. Today, the people have long awaits for these final days, if it is today, to end. Just to hear your historic decision, they've been bracing themselves for a long time. Today, many knew your strong, firm decision way long before the discussion to investigate the Sinimay governor as described in the article of impeachment now before you. Today, let's be reminded about the insult rumors that spread among the people of the Sinimay, the quote, dead on arrival, meaning not to impeach the governor. Today, this rumor will prove to be true if it is today. Today, the governor, Rob De Leon Guerrero Torres, has always bragged about this day in the news media, the social media, and other form of media, even when he knew that overwhelm of the people wish him to be impeached. Today is the day he's been looking forward in confidence that this Senate body will decide in quote fair on his behalf not to be impeached by most of you, in my opinion. Let it be known that such cocky insult tone of words by this governor, as he always stated, I'm looking forward, I'm confident, and his fellow Senate will be fair. My question is, fair to who? The people? In my opinion, he's referring to himself because he knew that of that assurance. One example by one of you said to me, quote, you senators, one of you senator, for me personally, I want to take my stand today. I will not convict the governor with tone of confidence. Today, in my opinion, most of you are making decisions just based on that confidence. Or personal, based on personal. Today, if it should be decided, many will be saddened, many will be angry, and many will be cussing of decisions that a majority of you will make, and that is not to impeach the governor who is now being charged of a crime in the court of law. People now await the true justice in the court of law, while people scream this to be a kangaroo court. Just in absence, nowhere to be found in this session, if to be called a trial. That is more of a presentation. Sad. Justice will prevail for the people of the cinema in the court of law. Today, in my opinion, there will be Senate in here and governor that will celebrate inconspicuous later with a few who will be cheering on you with joy and happiness. Few will jump with jubilee to celebrate your decision, but let's not forget this is not the final yet. Celebrate. You have placed a mark of your legacy. Many will suddenly remember today as the worst corrupted political group in the history of our cinema government. Today, I pray and beg before all of you and to the people of the cinema, all voters of this Commonwealth. I pray not for stimulus, nor for PUA, nor for ARPA, nor definitely for those who believe the deception of a rebooting of trust leaders. None of this. Today, I conclude my comment by saying I'm confident. I'm looking forward as these are the governor's word, the day that the people of the Commonwealth will once again rise in 2022 general election and see now into the future that we want leaders for a change and not by the standard of today's leaders that have bring economic hardship to many of us in the community. Many have been and still suffering in the midst of a corrupted governor. Today, I pray the time for a change. I pray the time for a change. I pray that we are moving on for a new leaders and governor for our beloved CNMI. Let's take back our government and vote for a trusted leadership. Viva trusted leadership. My name is Fabian Muña Indalecio. Si Diyos mo si para Hamzu, May 18, 2022. Si Diyos mo si talo.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Indalecio. The floor is still open for members of the public to present their comments. Kindly state your name for the record.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Senate President, Honorable Senators. My name is Ed Probst. I'm a representative from Precinct 1, the House of Representatives. I'm here to read my remarks for today. Senate President, if I may.
Proceed.
Thank you. Dear Honorable Senate President, dear Honorable Senators, there is only one vote consistent with the law on Article 6 of the Articles of Impeachment, and that is conviction. Article 6 charges the governor with contempt for not complying with a legislative subpoena. The JGO committee subpoenaed Governor Torres to testify in its legislative investigation, and he did not show up. That is contempt. In his presentation to you on Monday, the governor's Washington, D.C. attorney, Mr. Ross Garber, asserted that the JGO committee subpoena violated the separation of powers under the CNMI Constitution. But Judge Bellis's ruling on Tuesday, the very next day, explicitly held that it did not. As Judge Bellis pointed out, the separation of powers doctrine does not afford even the United States president blanket immunity from subpoenas. The press release of the NMI Republican Party issued after Monday's presentation stated, Attorney Garber cited rulings from federal courts across the country that supported his assertion that the House JGO's subpoena violated the CNMI Constitution. That statement is flat out untrue. Mr. Garber, in fact, mentioned two federal cases which both ruled in favor of the House of Representatives Committee on the judiciary and against the executive branch. Both of these cases upheld legislative committee subpoenas against the executive branch, and both of these cases are from one single federal court. the district court for the District of Columbia. Mr. Garber asserts that the governor did not have a specific statutory duty to comply with the JGO's legislative investigation. But as Representative Sablan pointed out on Monday, yes, he did. 1 CMC Section 1308 says the officers and employees of the Commonwealth shall cooperate with any investigating committee and with its representatives and furnish to it or to its representatives such information as may be called for in connection with the research activities of the committee. The governor neglected this duty. In fact, he was contemptuous of this duty. And neglect of duty is one of the explicit grounds for impeachment under our Constitution. Mr. Garber asserted Governor Torres responded reasonably to the committee subpoena. This is untrue. The governor stonewalled at every turn and refused to appear as subpoenaed on December 10, 2021. He didn't even bother to send a note. When the committee generously offered him an accommodation by not yet holding him in contempt if he would appear on December 14, he once again refused to appear. What the governor did do was offer to have a conversation with Chairwoman Selena Babalta alone, without other committee members, outside the legislative building, and with no oath. A meeting with only the chair has no quorum to take action, as you senators all know very well. There was nothing reasonable about the governor's response. Under 1 CMC Section 1306, a person shall be in contempt if the person fails or refuses to appear in compliance with the subpoena, or having appeared, fails to or refuses to testify under oath or affirmation. Governor Torres was subpoenaed to appear on December 10, and he did not. The committee offered him one last chance to come in on December 14 instead. Again, he did not. Mr. Garber claimed on Monday that the subpoena was not valid, but Judge Bellis has just ruled that it was in fact valid. The Attorney General also upholds the subpoena and states that the subpoena was valid. And that is why he has filed a criminal charge of contempt against this governor. The law is plain and simple, senators. If you do not appear before the legislature in compliance with a valid subpoena, you are in contempt. Governor Torres failed to appear as subpoenaed. The subpoena was valid. He is in contempt. It is really that simple. Senators, if you do not vote to convict on Article 6, you would be ignoring this law. The people of the Commonwealth are watching. They're waiting to see if you'll honor the trust they have placed in you. Will you uphold the law, or will you place the political interests of Governor Torres above our Constitution? Thank you, Honorable Senate President and Senators. I submit this record with the actual case from the ruling from Judge Bellis. Thank you.
Suzumaci, Representative Probst. Any other member of the public would like to offer public comments? Proceed and state your name for the record.
Senate President Jude Hofsnyder, members of the Senate, good afternoon. Buenas na saludo. My name is Vincent De Longuerero Torres, and I am here in support of my brother, Governor Ralph De Longuerero Torres. You have heard and received testimonies and evidence during the trial, all in support against the articles of impeachment. The JGO did not submit not a single evidence to support their impeachment. That itself warrants a vote of no to all of the articles. Now I would like to focus on Section 5 of the articles, specifically where the JGO claims that Governor Torres neglected his duties during crisis, specifically during Typhoon U2 and COVID. I remember vividly, after the midnight during Typhoon U2, Governor Torres called me up and said, "Brad, I received a message that there's a family near my home that they're needing help, that the roof of their house is blown out. but we cannot send out any help, not the police or the fire or anybody else. And so we are here. I said, Brad, don't leave. You stay there. Let's pray. He hung up the phone. I felt something else. A few minutes later, I called back. He did not answer my question. I mean, my call. I called again and I called several more times, and he did not answer. I knew then that he left to look for those families. I teared up, I prayed, and after a couple hours, he called me and he was so excited on the phone. He said, Brad, I found them. When I got to their house, the roof was blown off. But I got them, 2 small children, baby girls, a mother and a father. They're here in my home, safe and sound. That's a governor. On April 30, 2020, the first person that died of COVID. Remember that day? Everybody was scared. The whole world was scared. Thousands of people were dying across the world. The next day, I called him up and said, Rod, let's meet up very late in the afternoon. I met up with him at his house. I hugged him and kissed him and said, Brad, you stay in your house. Someone just died yesterday. A lot more will be dying on our islands. It is your duty to protect your children, your family. That is your responsibility. Do not leave this house. He looked at me in a look that I've never seen before, and he said, Brad, how can I tell husbands, wives, children to send their loved ones out and fight the COVID and protect our people while I sit in the comfort and safety of my home? How? I'm sorry, my brother, I cannot do that. Dispensa zu che luhu tiuna sinya tumogweno. Lekubat sensiorno. Sa zomu lieutenant governor. Zagizo huzum. Send Arno Palacios out because he is your lieutenant governor. Let him go out. He said, bro, I cannot do that. Arno is much older than I am. And he has health issues, and I protect that. I respect him. After all, it is me that I am the governor. If COVID gets to me and takes my life, I know, bro, that I died down helping my people. And you know, after that day, every single day after that, he continued going out, helping the people. And as you all know, from the first airplane that arrived on Saipan for COVID materials and medical equipment, on April 13, 2020, from that on, more than almost a year, my brother, Governor Torres, has been going up to the airport every single airplane that arrived at 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And not a single other elected official ever went up during those times. Did you see him coming out ever in a newspaper attacking or criticizing anybody? No. Why? Because that is the kind of governor that he is. That's the governor that we have. That's the governor that you have. That's the governor that I have. And he is my baby brother. And so I will leave you with this. As you sit, all of you senators, you will be deliberating, thinking to cast your votes whether or not to impeach my brother. I please ask you one question to ask yourself. If there is another pandemic or disaster, life-threatening ones, that will hit the CNMI, our islands, what kind of governor do you want to lead us? A governor that sits in the comfort of his or her home, or a governor that goes out and risks his life to help his people? Ladies and gentlemen, senators, I have every confidence that you will do the right thing and vote no to the articles of impeachment. Thank you, Si Jus Masi, for everything and for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. The floor or the mic or the floor is still open for any member of the public that wish to offer a public comment. on the order of business on today's meeting or session? That's it? Okay. Again, I want to remind the members that we are sitting as a Senate impeachment tribunal in this session. And without any objection, I recognize Senator Carl King Neighbors to act as the acting floor leader for today. And that I would go right ahead to item J of the order of business. And I'll read it out. Senate action on House Resolution number 2214, impeaching Ralph De Leon Guerrero Torres, Governor of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands, pursuant to Article 2, Section 8 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth for commission of felonies, corruption, and neglect of duty in violation of Article 3, Section 19 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth. So in addition, on May 16, the Senate concluded its hearing on the articles of impeachment set forth in House Resolution 22-14, and now the Senate will entertain each article of impeachment and a vote of yes or no as his or her name is called by the Senate clerk. Article 2, Section 8 of the Animal Constitution requires an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members of the Senate or 6 yes votes to convict an impeached official. And I will go ahead and start with Article 1 for the charges set forth in Article 1, commission of felony, theft of utility service. And before I recognize the clerk, I want to open the floor for any of the members to share any comments or remarks with regards to this particular article. I recognize Senator Edith Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a statement before we take any votes. If I may be allowed to read out
Please.
my
go
prepared
right ahead.
statement. Thank you. Mr. President, this Senate body is caught in a deep mess, but we are here now. The concerns on government ethics code violations, lack of prosecutors, lack of impeachment documents in relation to the articles of impeachment, and clear violation of the Open Government Act were all ignored and disrespected, to include disrespect of our CNMI Constitution and the subpoena powers of the legislature. Judge Bellis's ruling on civil case number 21-0333 with prejudice is justice to the CNMI people and our CNMI Constitution. This Senate body chose to proceed with the so-called impeachment trial, when in actuality it was not an impeachment trial. Making it more concerning is the submission of exhibits from the impeached officials' councils, where character assassination were lodged against A.G. Manibusan, former AG J.P. San Nicolas, and former Governor Juan Necababauta. And to further advance, in my opinion, the modus operandi, witnesses were called in with questionable testimonies, poor investigations, removed witness cross-examinations, and not all truths were told. This is not justice, but corruption. The truth from A.G. Manibusan's travel submitted by the defense as Exhibit H was paid or partially paid by NAAG, as stated and made part of Exhibit H, email dated December 16, 2015, from NAAG, Mr. James McPherson. We cannot ignore this document as an exhibit. This truth was hidden from the public while the defense counsel is allowed to carry on with his character assassination of both A.G. Manibusan and former A.G. J.P. San Nicolas. This is not justice, but corruption. Mr. President and members, to further insult the intelligence of the people of the Commonwealth, the defense's so-called confusion of the travel regulations, whether 1 CMC subsection 7407F remains in effect, is not convincing at all. In fact, it is so laughable that the word confusion was repeated many times over. Well, for the record, I am not confused, and that the law remains in effect, restricting purchase of airline ticket in first class, business class, or any other premium class designation. Lastly, I would like to read a quote from Robert F. Kennedy. Every time we turn our heads the other way, when we see the law flouted, when we tolerate what we know to be wrong, when we close our eyes and ears to the corrupt because we are too busy or too frightened, when we fail to speak up and speak out, we strike a blow against freedom, decency, and justice. Mr. President, today, Hongizo, I prayed that this body, this Senate body, gives the people of the Commonwealth freedom, decency, and justice. Thank you.
Jesus Masi, Senator De Leon Guerrero. I recognize that Senator Terry Santos.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am deeply troubled with the manner in which the Senate impeachment trial has been conducted and concluded. To my understanding, in a fair trial and as trier of facts, I would expect to see all parties involved, the judge, prosecutor, defense, and jurors, proceeding without a prosecutor to try the case, enter or present evidence, question and examine witness credibility, etc., is ludicrous and disturbing. And it was not the lack of a prosecutor, but the absence of one because the Senate rejected the team of prosecutors appointed by the Speaker of the House. And it was not the lack of evidence, audio and video recordings and etc., but the absence of those because the Senate rejected them. Thus, what we have had instead was a lopsided impeachment trial where the defense was given the free latitude to put on his case unopposed, to the extent that he even answered questions posed to the witnesses and on several occasions led the witnesses. Our general public perceives this proceeding as seriously flawed, tainted, and that it was just a charade because the final outcome of the trial had already been predetermined. Some call it, and we commonly hear it, in this chamber and even outside this chamber, it was a kangaroo court, a mockery of justice, and as Rep. Tina Sablan puts it, a travesty of justice. Consequently, I can't blame those who hold these views. History will permanently record our actions today. Our children and future generations will look upon history and judge us by our individual and collective actions. Nevertheless, having said the above, I am ready to render each verdict based on my personal observation and participation in questioning witnesses presented at trial as to Articles 1, 2, 3, and 5. More importantly, my resolve has been substantiated by the clear and convincing evidence presented by the House in formal meeting with respect to the articles of impeachment. And although I was not physically present in the Senate chamber when the last two final articles were addressed, I was able to observe the trial remotely on television. Hence, I am ready to render each verdict based on my personal observation of the trial as to Article 4. With respect to Article 6, based on the recent ruling of civil case number 21-0333, order granting motion to dismiss with prejudice, so ordered on May 17, 2022, concluding that because there was no additional facts which could defeat the legislative immunity involved, the dismissal is granted with prejudice. We have heard the oral testimony of Representative Props. Very clear, in detail. His explanation were very detailed, and because of that, has solidified my verdict, again with respect to Article 6. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield for now.
Thank you, Senator Santos. The chair recognizes Senator Pomanglonia.
Jesus Masi, Mr. President, and distinguished members of the Senate. I speak to you today on behalf of those who entrusted me to be their voice and for those who trusted me to carry out my official duties in strict adherence to the rule of law. Each and every one of us here have been given the same responsibilities to carry out our duties for our people with integrity and to follow the rule of law. It's a privilege, not a right, to sit in this very seat of honor and respect. The people who put us here are the very ones to whom our loyalty truly lies. They place their votes of confidence that we, as senators, will follow the Constitution and laws of our Commonwealth and serve only in their best interest. The impeachment case before us is supposedly based on hard facts from the House of Representatives. It's all about the facts. The extensive records contains approximately 8,000 pages upon which Governor Torres' impeachment was substantially predicated. During the last few weeks, Governor Torres sent his lawyers to this chamber and staged his political supporters here to try and stop the Senate from hearing the facts of this case. They want to end the trial before any evidence is even introduced. It looks like they have succeeded in this Senate chamber. No matter how popular any governor is, he, along with anyone else, with everyone else, is not above the law. Whether he won by a slim margin or a landslide, a governor who commits an impeachable offense is subject to the rule of law. The fact of the matter is that our governor has been charged by our Attorney General for theft, corruption, and neglect of duty with the same evidence revealed during the investigation conducted by the House of Representatives. From the start, our impeachment rules have been plagued with serious questions, issues, and concerns. They have been tainted by ex parte communications by persons outside the Senate who were empowered to make their own rules. We have shown undeniable evidence of communications between Governor Torres' legal counsel Viola Alipuzo and Special Impeachment Counsel Joe Magdulit that suggests that Alipuzo was directing, instructing, or acting in concert with Magdulit in the drafting and preparation of the Senate's impeachment rules, rules in which Alipuzo would represent Torres and Magdulit would represent the CNMI Senate. These communications, including email correspondence, are inappropriate, impermissibly ex parte, and unethical in nature. I pointed this out on multiple occasions and it was swept under the rug, left unaddressed. We're here today to act on the impeachment resolution after conducting a trial pursuant to the impeachment rules prepared in collaboration by Viola Alipuzo, Joe Magdulit. Senate Impeachment Presiding Officer, Honorable President of Snyder, cited these rules as warranting his decisions to, one, prevent and bar any and all portions of the House record from being accepted or used in any of the Senate impeachment proceeding. Thus, the proceedings were held without impeachment record. And two, urge and approve the commencement of the impeachment proceedings without the necessary two-party system. The defense and the prosecution are explained by Senator Santos by precluding the appearance or participation by House members to serve as impeachment manager or impeachment prosecutor in the Senate impeachment trial. Furthermore, my colleague, I strongly believe that the Senate impeachment rules are unconstitutional, particularly to the extent that they attempt to dictate to the House of Representatives what to do and aim to decide from the House who from the House can present its case to the Senate. It is a matter of fundamental fairness in a proceeding before any neutral and impartial magistrate or tribunal that each party is entitled to have their case presented by a qualified person or persons of their own choosing. However, this was only granted to one party, the governor. The governor was allowed to pick whoever he wanted and as many attorneys he wanted without limitation. The constitutional mandate before us is to conduct a fair and impartial impeachment hearing. All of our actions leading up to this point have been tainted by immoral and unethical decision devoid of impartiality or fairness. So my question today is, how do we correct our actions so that we can be fair and impartial? All the people, our people, are asking for is justice. And in this very seat that I'm occupying, I'm asking for justice for the people of the Commonwealth. Mr. President, colleagues, I know we can do better. Jesus Masi.
Thank you, Senator Paul Manglonia. I recognize Senator Carl Neighbors.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I sit here now in awe and confusion. I've heard from some of the members that they don't understand how a trial can happen without a prosecution. How can a trial happen without evidence? How can you really have a trial, period? As many of the members of the public know, the Senate members have been there's been a lawsuit filed against some of the members. And in the lawsuit, it says failure to appear is basically a default. And as such, the plaintiffs would win the decision. So the same members who are bringing these arguments forward don't understand the language that is being brought forth in documentation to the same members of the Senate. Please reconcile this with me. I would love to hear the House some of the members continuously say, well, there's no evidence. We refused. Again, the rules were passed. All the while, the minority members of the Senate, biggest gripe, only gripe, was that they did not want the impeachment to happen in committee. They got what they asked for. Nobody made a comment about the rules, about the regulations and the criteria for the submission of the rules, of the order in which the rules were to be submitted. The House went out consistently in their leadership press conferences and said, we have our members, our teams, months we've been practicing. I would offer, had they spent the same amount of time going over the rules and getting their evidence in order, we wouldn't be in this predicament today without an impeachment prosecutor and without evidence. We go again to the ex parte communication. Again, this is not something that you can just redefine. Ex parte only takes into account when you have adopted the rules. Just because you say it's ex parte does not make it, in fact, ex parte. But looking over that, I digress. The rules state that the burden of proof has been and always will be with the prosecution. Their failure to adhere to the Senate rules and comply by the evidence, the rules of evidence, is their decision. And as such, the burden of proof has not been met. I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Carl Nieves. Senator Frank Q. Cruz, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. And susus masi Senator po, Senator Ivan, Senator Santos, maganda na budito sa miso testimony. Lo malata na klaro ne. From the start, goleliku na I wish that the House will come and present their case. And it tells out no prosecutor. For me, my opinion, this is no longer a case. Because they brought this to the Senate, before the Senate. The Senate ne po prosecute pro make the final determination. Ko dinansi House bidonya. Lo tibali na no 8,000 na information or evidence. Lo mungi na no na evidence siya. 2 years of their time no investigating the case. Zafa natin mana in order niya so that when the time comes, they will present it to the Senate. That yung gardon ni ikausa na kumugo no House. The 8,000 ko evidence. I am confident of my case. Lotisi niya kumbinsizo na that regardless hajan na gobyerno ko Democrat, Republican, Independent. Zangin latsi pes latsi. Lo zangin tiap presenta na izo niya kausa ulong gi Senate. Ikabalis na ebidensya nilingnya gwa ebidensya 8,000. Mungkin yung ebidensya tilili gini ni House safa. Tilingnya constitution na ninanay House po participate gi Senate no due process. Iproblema niya na they don't follow the due process. Debi do panikung sa we never go around to the House and participate and interfere gizo niya due process ni menande ni constitution. Often na po manalong ulo gini sa they wanna tell us how do we go with our rules. Taptigi rules ani committee level na. A reason why na members manay no mantay kapi kuntugo na because we want the special counsel to walk us through from the beginning. But one of the member who inquires if the Vice President no kiduga na we're just gonna go with the latest amendment. And mapaisin jo gastinan sa blan. Another member for the copy, I cannot provide a copy of that rules because it's not the final
route, it has to be adopted by the full members of the Senate. Tisina sa manay no copy na ji tabia to official the full body. Bes ipunto na yun eh. Disitutunan ni Timan Malagos at madinay todo. Ako sa nito po, limo masya uno. Pat no, masya kwanto. Uno, finina limo lo Timan Malago, man mapaisin. Po fan alum tazo Malago. 8,000 evidence and nobody wants to present their case. What is going on? If that's a strong evidence, I will present that case. If that doesn't matter, I'll bring my team. But only one prosecutor is gonna speak. I give you rules. Nalilang on bringing no legislative employees. Members of the Senate and members of House are legislative employees. It doesn't say LB employee. Kung nini moagi masya size of an matautsong ganon lo, there's only one to present the case. Lo ay sa munga siya. And then they're telling us that that we don't give them an opportunity. 2 years of the opportunity for the House to investigate this one. From back no to iman mo for na kesi siya pa House leadership. Why they didn't come up with no Zunyano who's going to prosecute? And they can even come here and do public comment, but they cannot even accept to present the case. Apa na masusesedi? Sa mga malong na we're not no transparent to the general public. Because we're not hiding anything. Come on and present your case. Often you have to tell the Senate to include your willing on our rules. This is a two separate house. The upper and the lower house. We have our own separate rules. So don't tell me I'm gonna trace na the house can intimidate us or tell us how we're gonna drop the rules. Sa titagin no. They have to respect the Senate, and because we respect them. We respect, although we see some unfairness that they're doing under Izunia investigation, but we never interfere because that's their job. When it comes to the Senate, then we do our job. But for them to come up here and telling us in front of the public that we're not fair, we're not giving them the opportunity. Basta sa siyaw draft is mami rules, we go from there. Doti tegeno na ni. They be separate, no? Tisina tegeno profan makta magiging na po sige man no demanda. Na this is how supposed to be. Istigi ipago fair we publiko. Tawag gini na usasanga na we're not representing one person here. We need to investigate also na Izunia no evidence because na mamaloje pata prosecute tauto dati mang klaruin na isa fact. No? Polo na judicial no system da siya chogi junya so this is legislative no process. Polo da siya jangin masoda ge judicial then let the judicial system do their part. But this is legislature. Basta man na fanalo menon siya ti manahalong yan sa three branches of government. There's only not only one.
Sir.
Bis para masangan na we're not fair. You guys are representing on behalf of the no. We're all representing the members of the general public. Amju jun mizu depends on mizu view na. Giput fair. No, ko fairness ti. Kumu malasabi sangan kumu kortis ti tati malum either side. Simply manaugat to give whichever appear in court. Madogong bisi there's a lot of cases that are been filed in court at zaman madogong sa apa. You fail to follow the due process. Pes they been na follow. Anlingay rules tagi pes they be rules tagi. To follow the rules.
Senator Cruz, may ask to.
Pensa so, Mr. President, lo tizaw na isti por sige masangan na mantimam fair ginalom. Lo, I wish that the House comes up, even one, and present the case if they have 8,000 no evidence, then they should be confident they should have come. They should be confident of the 8,000 no evidence, but zero na. After Manu, how are we going to move forward? Zero no person to present their case.
I think we're.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, but are you for now?
Thank you. I wanted to remind the members that I'm allowing the members to say their comments, and I would discourage to and fro because we're already voting on one particular article. Senator,
ITD debate.
I'll offer one more statement and to and then I'm going to call for the vote. Senator Carl, recognize.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My apologies, Mr. President. This kind of devolved. This was only on article of impeachment 1, commission of a felony, theft of utility services. With that being said, these are the facts that we have that have been submitted into evidence that were testified on under oath in this chamber. Mr. Camacho testified that at no point in time was there any theft. The question was posed, what would be considered theft? His response was any tampering of the line before the meter. The question was asked, was there any such tampering? No, was his response. Again, there are no prosecution members for this article of impeachment. And that is where the burden of proof lies.
Chair, I discourage the continuation of the discussion, and I'm going to recognize the clerk to counsel.
You have to ask.
Okay, before I apologize. This is not something that I do every session. So the council had advised me that I will be the one to be reading the statement on Article 1 for the charges set forth in Article 1, commission of felony, theft of the utility service. Question, does clear and convincing evidence exist to sustain the first article of impeachment against Governor Rolf de Leon Guerrero Torres to remove him from the office of the governor of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands? I recognize the clerk to please call the roll.
Senator Cruz,
No, no, Mr. President, I don't see any elements of to constitute that offense, so no.
Yes, and no answer, please, members.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hoku,
No.
Senator King Neighbors,
No.
Senator Manglonia, Senator Santos, Mr. President,
No.
Mr. President, 4 members voting no, 3 members voting yes, 2 absent.
With 3 members voting yes, 4 no, Governor Rolf de Leon Guerrero Torres is hereby acquitted of the charges in Article 1, commission of felony and theft of utility service. Moving on Article 2, for the charges set forth in Article 2, commission of felony, theft. And this time again, I recognize any of the members to air their comments, to share their comments with regards to this particular article. If none, I'm going to go ahead and read out the statement. Does clear and convincing evidence exist to sustain the second article of impeachment against Governor Rolf de Leon Guerrero Torres to remove him from office of the governor of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands? Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Cruz,
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hoku,
No.
Senator King Neighbors,
No.
Senator Manglonia, Senator Santos, Mr. President,
No.
Mr. President, 4 members voting no, 3 members voting yes, 2 absent.
With 3 voting yes and 4 voting no, Governor Ralph De Leon Torres. Sorry, theft failed to garner the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the Senate members to convict, and therefore Article 2 is not sustained. Governor Ralph De Leon Torres is hereby acquitted of the charges in Article 2, commission of felony theft. Article 3, for the charges set forth in Article 3, corruption, unlawful first class and business class travel. Thus, clear and convincing evidence exists to sustain the third article of impeachment against Governor Ralph De Leon Torres to remove him from the office of the governor of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Senator Cruz,
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hoku.
No.
Senator King Neighbors.
No.
Senator Manglona. Senator Santos. Mr. President.
No.
Mr. President, 4 members voting no, 3 members voting yes, and 2 absent.
With the 3 votes and 3 votes yes and 4 votes no, Article 3, corruption, unlawful first class and business class travel failed to garner the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the Senate members to convict, and therefore Article 3 is not sustained. Governor Ralph De Leon Torres is hereby acquitted of the charges in Article 3, corruption, unlawful first class and business class travel. Before I call for the next vote, I would like to call for a short recess. We rise back into our session. And before we took that break, we were addressing Article 3, which we disposed of. So the chair would like to revert to Article 4 for the charges set forth in Article 4, corruption, misuse of government resources. Thus, clear and convincing evidence exists to sustain the fourth article of impeachment against Governor Ralph De Longguerre Torres to remove him from the office of the governor of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Cruz,
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hooker, Senator King Neighbors,
No.
Senator Manglonia,
Yes.
Senator Santos. Mr. President,
No.
Mr. President, 4 members voting no, 3 members voting yes.
With 3 votes yes and 4 votes no, Article 4, misuse of government resources failed to garner the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the Senate members to convict, and therefore Article 4 is not sustained. Governor Ralph De Longguerre Torres is hereby acquitted of the charges in Article 4, corruption, misuse of government resources. Article 5, for the charges set forth in Article 5, neglect of duty, negligence during crisis. Thus, clear and convincing evidence exists to sustain the 5th article of impeachment against Governor Ralph De Longguerre Torres to remove him from the office of the governor of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. I recognize the clerk to call the roll.
Senator Cruz,
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hooker, Senator King Neighbors,
No.
Senator Manglonia,
Yes.
Senator Santos. Mr. President,
No.
Mr. President, 4 members voting no, 3 members yes.
With 3 votes yes and 4 votes no, Article 5, neglect of duty, negligence during crisis, failed to garner the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the Senate members to convict, and therefore Article 5 is not sustained. Governor Ralph De Longguerre Torres is hereby acquitted of the charges in the Article 5, neglect of duty, negligence during crisis. Article 6, for the charges set forth in Article 6, neglect of duty, contempt of the legislature. Thus, clear and convincing evidence exists to sustain the 6th article of impeachment against Governor Ralph De Longguerre Torres to remove him from the office of the governor of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands. The clerk is now recognized to please call the roll.
Senator Cruz,
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hooker, Senator King Neighbors,
No.
Senator Manglonia,
Yes.
Senator Santos. Mr. President,
No.
Mr. President, 4 members voting no, 3 members voting yes.
With 3 votes yes and 4 votes no, Article 4, neglect of duty, contempt of legislature. Contempt of the legislature failed to garner the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the Senate members to convict, and therefore Article 6 is not sustained. Governor Ralph De Longguerre Torres is hereby acquitted of the charge in Article 6, neglect of duty to the legislature or contempt of the legislature. With Governor Ralph De Longguerre Torres acquitted of all 6 of impeachment, this concludes the Senate's review of House Resolution 22-14 and the articles of impeachment. The impeachment proceedings of Governor Ralph De Longguerre Torres is hereby closed, and the Senate as an impeachment tribunal is hereby adjourned, signed, and die. I now take a recess. We're back into our session, and the chair would like to request, and I'm going to make the formal announcement in writing that we're going to have another session on Friday at 10 o'clock. There's a couple of items on the order of business that we would like to take up, more specifically Senator De Leon Guerrero's bill. So I wanted to get the attention of the members and that Friday at 10 o'clock. So with that, I recognize the floor leader to offer the appropriate motion to adjourn this session.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I officially like to offer a motion to adjourn today's third special session. Subject to call the chair.
Motion is offered by floor leader to adjourn today's Senate session. All those in favor and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Senate session stands adjourned. Thank you very much.